Hey guys, I am here talking about GTA San Andreas. I think pretty much everyone has agreed that this is the best GTA game. Um, I don't know. For me, it's something about the atmosphere, the characters, the environment. Even if you're just messing around, you don't interact with the main story. It's just such an interesting and fun place to be. And it's funny because, of course, this is the game I think came out before GTA 4 when they kind of revamped everything. So this was, the peak of the original kind of, or second phase of the GTA formula. Something about the font, the characters, everything about it is extremely iconic. Something else, I guess, quickly, just I might as well mention and bring up is the difference between this game and the remastered version is honestly, I mean, besides the look of how CJ looks like he's made out of Play-Doh or something. What's really interesting is that the sun flares in the morning are kind of gone, and I even think that's missing on the PC remastered version. It's still on PS2 and Xbox, but even on PC, the kind of sun effect and sun flares you get are gone or diminished, which is kind of a shame. Also, speaking on the characters, this game, the characters are unforgettable. Everyone from Ryder to Big Smoke, even the crazy conspiracy alien guy. What was the crazy chick in the mountain area who like brings you on a crime spree of robbing gas stations and stuff? The blind triad that you help rob the casino in Las Venturas, Officer Tenpenny. I mean, everyone and everything in this game is super memorable and super fun, and the physics are so much fun and great. And I think we're even comparing this to GTA 4. What I really loved about this one is that it was more based in entertainment than reality. And what I mean by that is that this game allows you to activate cheats so that you're running down the highway with a jetpack and a one-hit, chain gun, one-shotting everything in sight, and it's just this absolutely ridiculous game and simulator. There's also something about the sound effects, from the pistols to the shotguns. The pump action shotgun, I can like recreate exactly what that sounds like in my head right now. They had other funny things, like you had skills, very basic early skill, kind of system in this game, where from shooting, you'd go to, the shooting range and get your shooting skill up, and you get different kinds of guns. Of course, this is the famous game where you could work out, and of course, if you didn't work out and only ate Cluckenbell, you would get sick and fat, and so there's a fat meter in this game, which I found really funny. What I also love, I think everyone loved about this game, is the fact that you could recruit your homies on the street. They had a turf war system that essentially in the late game you could basically fight over territory and take over turf. And it was mine kind of glitched out a little bit in the sense that the last area that I was trying to take over, none of the enemies are spawning, or rather, you have to like kill 4 or 5 of them in a group, and then the wave will start, and then it's like a little horde mode kind of thing. And for me, it was really hard to get those initial groups to appear and then to make it initiate. And then like they would like despawn or something. I couldn't get the last little strip or something, but eventually I got it. Of course, the classic radio stations are back. Of course, this is more focused on the Black Hood culture and the rap scene and all that stuff. And this was just peak. I don't know, 2004. Like, I don't know, rap culture, and it was good. It was a lot of fun. It was almost all very good, well-meaning stuff. Like you're gonna take out your gun and hold it sideways and be all gangsta and stuff. And that's what I think. What I love about the GTA games is that they just always have a lot of attitude. And of course, even though CJ, he's the main character and he's kind of meant to be this kind of he's the foil or the static character that runs through the story, and all the crazy characters get him into ridiculous situations. But even CJ kind of has a sense of moral good, right and wrong. And I was actually surprised that even from a story perspective, this game was really, really interesting. And since that there were different perspectives and philosophies between the characters. For example, CJ, he has basically been on the West Coast for the last 10 years. And now it's only finally that he comes back home after all this time and he finds out that his mom passed away and that his family and his hood and his clan essentially are in, dire consequences and a dire situation. And so basically CJ has to repair the hood. And so they have this really interesting dialogue between him and his older brother. They go to his mom's funeral, and this whole thing, where they get ambushed at the funeral, and all this other stuff. And so by the Ballas, and the Ballas, oh, they're bad news. But I don't know. It's interesting how CJ essentially says, well, I'm not trying to fix the hood. I'm trying to make myself better and get out of it. And his brother is like, no, you abandoned us. And you ran away essentially, and so there's this really interesting, conflict that I think is not just a boring or straightforward conflict where it's like, yeah, you can make that argument, and they both, make sense. And so CJ's like trying to show him that you don't have to be part of the hood. We can you can get out and be like me. He's like, I don't want to be like you, because you ran away and you died without or mom died without you here. And it's I don't know, it's a really interesting commentary that I can kind of like see and almost understand, and it's just very compelling about the two different philosophies about the individual versus the society, and the society versus the individual. And of course, the main antagonist of the game, I'm not sure if most people know who the actual antagonist of this game is. Obviously there's Tenpenny, but there's the other, I would say, main antagonist. And I think that's more significant because you get betrayed in this game, and I don't think a lot of people know who that character even is. So I'm not even going to spoil it. But again, even that concept was, the villain's pejorative or idea here is that he's also going to, make a name for himself, but he's not going to leave the hood. He's going to rule it, and he's going to, basically control it. And he's going to finally find the respect that he wants. And so he takes this other path where, again, he's improving himself, but then he's going to make it worse for everyone else around him, including even the people that are closest to him, and betrays them. And again, I don't know. I really don't want to say which character it is, because I was shocked, because this game has been out for like, what, almost 20 years now? Yeah, actually 20 years. Yeah, now, almost today. And I had no idea who this character was. I didn't see it coming at all. It was very shocking, honestly. But yeah, some cool things you can do in this game. I think you can dual wield, SMGs. There's a bunch of different cheats and things you can get. Man, of course the cars are great. You get also ridiculous things like there's monster trucks and whatever. What I was also surprised by is just how big the open world is, and the map. It kind of makes me forget that the reason everyone was going towards open world is that they all wanted to be like GTA. They all thought a GTA was the most realistic, well done simulation of a game world or real life that there ever was. And it was just so interesting how big the map is, and how that is populated with things to actually do, which is even a main concept that game developers now that they can do open world AAA games, they just don't do them well, and they forget to populate it, which is a shame, I think. But yeah, it's so interesting that you have Los Santos, you have the city area, and you have Las Venturas, which is supposed to be Las Vegas, and the other place that's supposed to be LA, and all these other places that maybe as a kid you might go over your head exactly what these places are a parody of. And of course, even though none of us were supposed to be playing GTA as a kid, we all kind of did, either by osmosis or through someone else, which is I think funny. But yeah, GTA has always been that game, not allowed to play. And I think that is another important aspect to the GTA series that I think really was lost with 4 once I talk about it, but that GTA isn't a simulation of American culture and the world. It's a parody of it. It's supposed to be, everything from Burger Shot to Cluck and Bell. They're all, parodies of, American brands and chains and attitudes. And, it does manage to tell a serious, interesting story, but it's also in a universe that is like not America. It's like a version of America that is this weird, this weird thing that it's very humorous. And a lot of the characters in these games tend to be actually very funny, especially OG Loke. And of course, you can always just turn on whatever station the chatterbox or the public access is, and the talk shows are always the funniest thing, where they talk about video games. Oh god, my favorite one actually, I think, might be the country station in this game. Oh my god, the amount of like mannerisms, like it's like, oh, there I was again, barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, just like my dad. like this game does not care. It has some of the funniest dialogue. It sounds like I'm listening to an Adult Swim podcast or something. It's really, really impressive and really fun and cool. Of all the, and again, I just have to say that another big issue or benefit that I have with this game over its counterparts, as specifically the remaster, is not only does it look awful, but because of licensing issues, it doesn't have the same songs. And I would say that the music in GTA games is extremely important to the overall experience and to the spirit of the game. For example, I think my favorite song in this game that I had heard before but never really listened to was Young Turks by Rod Stewart. Whenever that song came on, I never changed the station. Like, that was my song for this game. And that's kind of what I almost associate that song with this game, which I find funny that it was so iconic in that sense. Of course, another big memory I have from this game is, of course, the horrifying and awful train mission. And it's funny because I had seen memes about it. I had vague memories of seeing other people play it, but playing it myself, like, my memory of this game is that I thought the miniature airplane mission was the hardest thing, because I remember my cousin had the game and he was actually stuck on that. He could not do it. And if I recall, I think it's a main story mission, like you have to do it. And he literally couldn't do it because the plane controls are abysmal and incredibly frustrating. And even in current year, I was having a lot of trouble dealing with it. But even that was not as bad as the train mission, because freaking hell, at least in the airplane mission, you had control of like the airplane. In the train mission, what occurs is that there's a bunch of guys on a train who are escaping and leaving the city, and you have to chase them down with a motorcycle, and Big Smoke on the back of your bike has to shoot them. And I swear, like, they did not play test that section at all, because Big Smoke, he is a loader fire, he always misses, and it is the most frustrating thing. And if you fail it, you have to start the mission all over again. And it is so frustrating. And the worst part is that when you fail it, and you always will, and the issue is not just you have to kill, I think you have to kill, well, Smoke has to kill 3 guys on the roof of the train before it leaves the city or the station. And because it's moving at such a fair pace, essentially you will not ever, like, it's very hard just to keep up with, and then it's even harder to keep the bike steady so that your NPC friend can shoot the guys. If it was a co-op mission, it might be a different story, but because it's run entirely by NPCs, it's infuriating. And so in this scenario, and of course at the end, when the train does eventually leave the station and get away, it plays a little cutscene, and then CJ blames you, saying, "What's the matter, CJ? You just had to follow the damn train. Well, maybe if you could shoot straight." Oh my god. And then I think the way you actually beat it, or the way I recall beating it, is that there's a very obvious way that the terrain is molded that it wants you to follow. And it's funny that if you don't follow the intentional terrain and you kind of stick to a more obtuse route or a more weird route that's like higher up, Big Smoke will actually shoot them better from there. And so doing what you think the game wants you to do and being consistent, which up until this point has always worked, no longer works. And it's incredibly frustrating. Just back to music, something that was nice that I experienced that was specific for the Xbox version of the game. I'm pretty sure this is only on the original Xbox, but something that you could do is, because I know you can do this for GTA 3, is that you could burn music CDs onto your Xbox, and then they would act as the song playlist that you would access as one of the radio stations. And when I got into music, I mean, really got into it, I was at a point where, LimeWire was a thing, and digital sharing of music was basically the main thing. And so I did have a few CDs, but not many. And so over the years, I've only bought CDs of games I really cared for. And so when I finally decided to play GTA San Andreas, all the music on the station were from CDs of music that not only I had liked for quite a long time, but music that I had essentially, liked even my current tastes. So, I flip on the radio station in GTA, and I get things like, the Ocarina soundtrack, the Halo game soundtrack, and the Nier soundtrack, and then an old CD for Green Day, American Idiot. So yeah, lots of and Linkin Park and lots of old school kind of stuff, and also some new stuff. And it's so funny to hear that music in the game coming from the speakers as if it's some kind of mod, but it's not at all. And that's such a cool feature. I wish we could have more in games where it just lets you play your music in game. And I know there's like a Spotify overlay for everything now, but I still like the idea of it. I like the fact that CJ turns on the radio, can listen to like Green Day or Birth of a Wish from the Nier soundtrack. It just makes everything so much cooler. I don't know. This game also had a lot more mini games. I mean, GTA has always been known for its sort of smorgasbord and sushi box of different mini games, which I also love about a lot of games like Nier and Zelda. Suddenly you have a top-down section. Suddenly in Zelda, you're collecting chickens. In GTA, you have rhythm games. You have, I think, the most hood early 2000 things I've ever seen is a what do you even call it? A lowrider hydraulics contest where you take your car and you get hydraulics installed so you can like bounce the car or the Cadillac, whatever. And in doing so, you have to like outbounce or outstyle the other guy. And it was the funniest, lamest, dumbest thing I've ever seen. There's also this side quest thing where you have CJ's sister or something, and she's dating this like Mexican guy. You have to make sure and like suss him out and make sure he's okay. And then you end up doing some missions together, and he's like one of your allies. You have Officer Tenpenny, who of course is always beating you down and taking your money and stuff, and is like the bad guy cop and the corrupt cop archetype. And then you have the different kind of mob bosses throughout the world, and each one of them is a lot of fun to interact with. Again, I was just really shocked at just how big the map is. You have I thought the map was Los Santos. So when I got like a city district and then the casino district, I just thought this is insane. But again, there's something about the GTA games that I think I personally like. I don't want to say I'm shocked by, but I'm so interested in is the fact that how do I even say this? Like it actually does feel like America, and to Americans this might be a weird thing to say, but like the American vibe is a very weird thing. Like after I beat GTA San Andreas, and I ended up going to America on a little trip to like a tourist location, I was like, oh my god, these people are actually like the NPCs. There's this kind of bravado or like empty-mindedness, if I could even say it like that, to the entire like realm of America that that just is so artificial. Like I thought this game is supposed to be a parody of America, but America feels like a parody of itself in some way. Where like I don't know, the whole like certain areas just feel like virtual reality. They feel like this game, and I find that to be incredibly weird and dumbfounding. And the fact that a lot of it does have a lot of ambience and whatever. And again, I mean, I talked about this in my GTA 3 review, but there was a very somber ambience. While this one, of course, is much more upbeat and interesting. But again, it's more so the ambience, that the only music you get is when you're actually in a vehicle. And this game feels a lot more fun to play than GTA 3, which again feels very, kind of depressed, honestly. But yeah, I like the way this game unfolds in terms of its placing, its pacing, and its plot. In the sense that you'll do like 3 or 4 or 5 missions for one character. They have some crazy dialogue. You do their mission. The gameplay, usually a combination of combat and driving, and then you go back to them and do their next mission because you want to see more of their character. And then you're like, okay, this is getting more and more ridiculous and stuff like that. Until eventually you finish the arc of their of all their quests. Something also I just need to point out that I love about the GTA cutscenes in general is that, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but their fingers never ever move. Their fingers are always glued together, and the parodies I've seen of GTA cutscenes are the funniest thing because they also never move their fingers. They're just like perma-glued together. It's the funniest like little detail, a little trope that if someone was doing charades, I know exactly which game they're talking about. Also, Carl has a great personality. He's always like, man, what the hell? He's not just a passive, fish in the stream that like agrees to everything like Nico. He's always like, no, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. He's definitely one of the, one of the best, maybe not the best written characters, but like a very fun character to be around. A chain gun, it just a bunch of really just honestly crazy stuff. And there's a lot of great missions too, where sometimes you have to like, clear out an apartment or a house or something, and you have this like tiered kind of waves of enemies. There's even a thing where you're like meeting with this guy for like a drug deal or something, and the SWAT team comes in and like takes over the place, and it turns into like a mini little shootout area. And of course, you can go back to those locations, but they're the interiors are very simple, very basic. But they're never really seen again unless you go there specifically. Again, something that a lot of interiors of the GTA places again are very basic, very simple, and have their own load zone. And people always thought in the future, oh, once you can like walk into any place, it's gonna be the coolest thing. And it's okay, but I kind of like these really small, focused, scoped areas that. There's also a bunch of crazy different cars you can get in this game, everything from, Mustangs and GTs. My favorite one is probably the monster truck because it simply just annihilates every other car on the on the road. It's just a ridiculous thing. You can also, something that they don't even have in GTA 4 that I love about this game is you can get into a jet. I just thought that was the most ridiculous, coolest thing, and you can end up firing missiles from it. You can have, there's military installations where if you go by them, you instantly get 5 stars, like in the previous games. Again, the combat and gameplay in GTA games is incredibly simple and incredibly, like, not amazing at all. But, it serves its function. I love also the pickup sound effects and all the kind of pickups you can get in the world. They all look really, really cool. Also, it even has these sections where it tries to like make you do stealth and stuff. A lot of the GTA games are really focused around like little gimmicky levels, or like this one level has like a certain theme or something, and it's really fun / cool to see that kind of stuff. I don't know, just take place and try to make it become like a thing. One stupid / crazy thing I noticed in this game that I thought was really crazy is that like CJ's main love interest that you meet, you initially meet her when you come to her apartment building and you set it on fire to get revenge on this other guy. and then she starts screaming help, help, and then you end up having to rescue her from the fire that you started, and that's how you meet. I just thought that was such a weird, ridiculous beginning to a relationship. Throughout the game, you can also buy different safe houses across the multiple regions. There's a country, desert area, casino area, and lots of other really interesting places. Again, there's so many mini games. Like, you have to do a tractor trailer one. There's like certain co-op mini games where you can plug in a second controller, and then suddenly player 2 can help you with it. Either mowing down people or like doing a race or something. I think also the main theme to San Andreas is the most iconic thing that people can think of. When you think of the GTA San Andreas theme, you know exactly what sound effect is playing in your head. It's super, super iconic. It's really, really cool. But yeah, for me, GTA 3 really was, GTA San Andreas really was the peak of the series. Simply because there's, the characters, the graphics, it just has a certain art style to it where it's like sort of real, but not too real. The amount of ridiculous weapons you get, you have like, proximity sensors and, remote controlled C4 and again, chain guns and jetpacks and, and jets and all this cool stuff. And because the people are kind of still in that weird video game-esque design, they kind of have this weird nature about them. Well, they'll run away and sometimes they'll grab their leg if you've shot them and stuff like that. But I really like how it just did not take itself seriously at all. It just was so like laid back and ridiculous that it was super, super entertaining. And a lot of my good memories of messing around in game worlds in general are from this game. Just like landing a helicopter on the top level and activating a cheat and jumping off with a parachute and all this really fun, cool stuff. For me, this was peak GTA. Again, I really enjoyed the whole turf mode and the fact that you can bring your homies in your car and like blast up a place, and that was super fun. The one thing I think should criticize this game rightfully for, and they even do this in GTA 4, is that the clothing selection in this game, first of all, I think there's a lot of it. I think there's maybe a little bit too much. I mean, there's a fair amount, but I think it got a little bit ridiculous by the end. Like, you're buying these brands or whatever just because. But the other thing that I noticed is that, like, when you want to switch your, like, clothes, it's almost impossible. Like, you'll have a load screen for like a few seconds every time you want to change a piece of clothing just to see it. It's so ridiculously like time consuming, and this was not fixed in GTA 4. I don't know why clothing is such a difficult thing to accomplish. But yeah, the iconic screams and dialogue and voice lines and action and everything is all here. This is I don't know, this is an amazing game. It's definitely the peak series. And again, the dialogue is super quotable. I know some people who aren't even fans of GTA, but they know San Andreas and they know the characters. It just has that much staying power. I think I might as well talk about the ending, which is kind of interesting because it's not really well known. I feel like a lot of people definitely played GTA San Andreas, but they ended up getting filtered by like the midpoint or something, where they come across this section that's too difficult, like the airplane mission or even the friggin' train at the beginning, and that's kind of like all they know of the game series. Oh god, there's this one mini game when you arrive in Las Venturas where you have to tie a guy to the windshield of your car and drive fast into oncoming traffic, and you have a scarometer. Like, it's just crazy things like that keep you playing to see what the game is going to throw at you. But yeah, it kind of ends, all together. The main character, Tenpenny, you have this massive chase, and CJ's on, or I think it's Big Smoke or someone is on the fire truck crane, and you're driving, trying to keep it together while shooting with one hand in this big epic chase, and everything's going crazy. And it ends up, with the fire truck. And it reminds me a lot of that mission from GTA 5 when you do the dad mission. And you end up with the fire truck, essentially, going over the overpass and landing in Grove Street. And that's kind of how the game ends. And I just love that ending. It's such a good way to round it off where you, get off finish where you started. And then so you start a new game at that point. It's like, damn, shit, here we go again. Yeah, no. The amount of mods made for this game too are also very, very satisfying and funny. My favorite one is probably just the Lucky Star one. Just like change nothing else but their Lucky Star characters. But and again, there's so many iconic missions like the opening bike scene and the friggin' one where you have to sneak onto the tanker and sneak around. That was a ton of fun. Yeah, I don't know. They always find a way to keep things fresh with this game and interesting. The one funny thing I should also mention that I found weird in the beginning game is CJ and all his friends, they're always smoking weed around the house. They got all the weed, like they have all the weed in the world. And one of the main lines that you get after beating a mission is like, "All right, go get yourself some beers. We're gonna go drinking or whatever." And it's funny because one, why are they so fixated on beers? And two, that never actually ever happens. You never actually go to a bar with the boys. It just never ever happens. And yeah, they're always like, "Yo, get yourself some beers," and they never get beers. You can't even buy beer in the game. I don't know why that's a recurring theme in the beginning section, but it just is, and I find it really interesting / odd. But yeah, amazing game. Love the combat, love the explosions, love the action. It's absolutely classic, and I absolutely love it. Sound effects, everything. Yeah, I don't know. I could just talk about this game forever. It's just so much fun, and it's so silly at the same time too. It's right in between serious and stupid, and I love that about it. Anyway, guys, I think that's all I can say about this game. Definitely a classic. Love it to death. And yeah, I will see you guys later. Bye.